Hello again, all my YouTube people. 10 reasons here why I hate working. I don't hate earning money, I hate working for others. So, probably my number one complaint, I guess overall, would be, well, no, this isn't number one, but there are a lot of dead hours that you aren't getting paid for, one, and two, just kind of have to commit to. The getting ready before work, driving there, driving back, showering, specifically for work. You have to be clean to go to work. You have to travel there. You have to, there's not really per se a way out of it. Even if you were carpooling, you might be saving on gas, but you're not getting out of those dead hours. Now, of course, this is amplified if you live farther away from work, right? My last few jobs have been, 8 or 10 miles away, which in the DFW area is about a 20-minute to half-hour drive. Yeah, just all that. And I find that that's when I start to just dread, because there's not just the getting ready that kind of sucks, but that spells like the rest of your day, That's when I kind of start dwelling on like, I'm gonna have to deal with this, I'm gonna have to deal with this, I'm gonna have to deal with this. Do I want to get back in bed with my cats and, just enjoy the day, or do I want to go to work, and, deal with all the bullshit that I have to deal with there? Which leads us on to number two. You're literally giving your life to your job. It's them that get to decide if you get to go on vacation or not. It's them that decide which days are blacked out that you can't go on vacation on. They decide which days off you get a lot of the time. You're just handed a schedule. You probably aren't going to get holidays off these days. It's like you literally, in almost every way except living there, belong to that job. You can say, yeah, you get benefits and everything like that, and eventually you'll get off time. Well, maybe. There are plenty of places out there that don't offer PTO and stuff like that. But I'm kind of the idea that you should kind of be able to go to work when you want and leave when you want, and they should be happy with the time they're getting from you, and everything like that. At least, like, I just wish they would just governmentally say businesses are going to be closed these days, because if they just mandatorily said like all you guys are going to be closed Easter, Christmas, New Year's, and whatever, then there's no worry about competition. So I don't like the thought of belonging to another entity, pretty much. Number three, I'm of the feeling that 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, it's just too much. That is just too much. I mean, and it's usually during your prime hours of the day. A 4-day work week is very common throughout most of the world. If they're not on a 4-day work week, they're on like a 6-hour work day or something like that. We devote too much time to work. I do not like my job. I haven't done the appropriate stuff in my life to be able to get a really good job. I get very middle-of-the-road kind of jobs, and certainly it does depend on the job a bit, but I really think that we either need to move down to a 4-day work week in this country or a 6-hour work day, because it's just, enough to still get benefits. You have to work 30 hours in my state, at least, to earn benefits. So, I think that would really, just think about having a couple extra hours a day. You might even say, well, that's only 10 hours a week. Well, yeah, exactly. That's an entire more than another work day that, you're getting to yourself by not having to do that. And I think most people would argue with me. Almost everybody argues with me here, but oh, you're not going to make as much money. Well, if that was the way they were going to do it, salaries would be adjusted. You'd be making the same amount, pretty much. And fuck it, even if you're not, most people can do without some things. You know, I love guitars. I don't need as many of them as I have. Okay, I could do with one or two. I don't need desserts and sweets and stuff like that. I'm hooked on that stuff, right? But I don't need it. And if I could give it up, then that would be, a huge savings every month. If I just bought no sweets, like never bought ice cream, it'd just be so much better. I think that there are just too many people in this country that are about their job. It's like I just don't get that. I don't get that. Like, why can't you be about nothing and just live your life? Or why can't you be about something else? But I'm not about being a retail worker. I'm never going to be about being a retail worker. I'm never going to be about being a call center rep. I'm never going to be about working at Subway. Number 4, burnout. And that starts to happen faster as you get older. I simply cannot. I used to be at about a 3 or 4 year threshold on a position. I kind of do the same thing in, say, a retail environment for 3 or 4 years, and then it's just sheer misery to continue doing it. And it just gets to feel so dissatisfying, and the dread, you just dread going into work because it's just so, you're over it. And I think that this is one of those things that people just don't talk about. I really feel like a lot of people feel this way. I see like Walmart employees that have like 30 years on their badge, and how the fuck did you do? How do you do? I don't know how you. The only way I could stick with the same place 30 years is if I moved around in the company a lot, and I mean drastically. I want to do something drastically different from the thing I did before. The problem is when you work for someplace like Walmart, you're never going to be doing anything that drastically different, and your old position is something that they're always going to try and get you to do again. So, if you've gone on to a working mod team overnight and you used to be a stocker and they're short a stocker, they're going to take you. That can be really frustrating as well. Just not knowing, if you've got that kind of job where, you could be anywhere in the building or whatever, just not knowing what you're going to do is very like, because there's certain things that they might have you do that you hate, and then other things aren't so bad. And that's pretty much going into number 5. It's kind of related. There's often just no way to distance yourself. Very few companies, I think. I had a relative who worked for United Health Group, and I actually applied to work with them about 10 or 15 years ago. I guess about 14, 15 years ago now. And they actually had an option where you could flex hours or you could flex weeks. And what that meant is when summer came around, and for some reason that's a little less busy time of year for them, when summer came around, you could either flex hours, meaning you could go down to 6 hours a day, or you could flex weeks and have 2 months off in a row. Now that's pretty cool. I mean, you're not getting paid during that time. Keep in mind, you are essentially on leave, right? And there is that. So you've got to plan ahead for that. But that's really cool. That's really cool. I wish more companies would do that. If they would give you a quarter off a year if you wanted it as an option, or take you down to 4 or 6 hours or something like that. I think a lot of people would stick with jobs longer if they had those options. Like, sometimes it's not that I want to quit my job, really. It's just that I just need to do it a little bit less. Like, if I could just cut down to doing this like 4 hours for a little while, and just have a little more free time for a minute, it'd be nice. Or if I could just completely get away from this and separate from it and not think about it for 2 months, that'd be. But very few companies actually do that. And because of that, it's just really hard to kind of distance yourself, or have any type of change of pace. It's hard to be about anything else, Now, the number 6 here is a little bit of a sensitive thing, at least in part. Coworkers. If you're not a people person, you're not a people person. And I'm not really a people person. I can be a people person, but I'm not really. And I do find it really difficult to work with some of my coworkers at times. They just aren't the kind of people I would hang out with at all. And some of them I barely like. We get along at work and everything like that. But, part of the reason I dread going in there most days is probably them. And part of the reason I want to leave is probably them. So and now, obviously there are coworkers that you get along with well, and it's always going to be that way. You're gonna have your coworkers you get along with, and you're gonna have your coworkers that it's like you can't make it work to save your life with them. You're just two different people. Along with that, and this is kind of becoming apparent in a lot of like brick and mortar companies, but is more apparent in the customer service, especially like on-site call center world, and that is team building. I hate team building. Just stop trying to like let me win a prize while I'm working, and just let me work and get the hell out of here. Okay? And along with the team building thing, I just want to say, I'm not a people person anyway. When I work at a call center, it's not like I'm kind of trying to come in and talk to the other people on my team and stuff. I come in, I sit down, I do my work, and I try and get out of there. I don't care about being a better team. I don't even know their fucking names. So yeah, the whole teamwork, coworker thing. And the other thing about coworkers that can be really frustrating is some of those people just won't do what they're supposed to do. You come into a real retail location at 8 o'clock in the morning. You're supposed to go on your first break at 10. You're supposed to go on lunch at noon, and then you're supposed to take your last break at 2. All right? Or 3, and then work 2 more hours and you go home. That's how that's supposed to work. But then you get people who, like, their lunch is going to fall at 11, and that's breakfast. That's breakfast. That's not lunch. So let me make something clear to all you people who don't get this. The meal that you have at work is lunch, okay? That's always lunch. It doesn't matter when it happens. That's lunch. It's always been referred to as lunch. It's lunch, okay? If your lunch break is at noon, at 11, and you don't want to go till noon, well, then now you have 2 people off at noon, because why should I have to wait? Because you didn't want to go. And if everybody would just do what they're supposed to do according to their schedule, this would all work out. Number 7. You can't have anything sudden come up. Pretty much. If you have something sudden come up, it's always going to be an issue. And it's probably going to come up like right when you got hired, right? And here I've just started at this place, and now I have multiple foot and leg conditions, okay? I have no insurance. They will not give you leave unless you're seeing a physician and that physician signs off on your paperwork. You can't tell people they can only be absent, 6 times a year. I mean, they can be absent, once every 2 months. I mean, I guess people do it. People with bigger families and stuff probably have a support system that kind of can help them out. But yeah, I don't know. I think that that these days, especially if you have something medical come up, they're just going to fire you. Sedgwick's, if that's who does your leave, is just not going to approve your leave. They're going to tell you to do certain things, then that's not going to be enough, and they're just not going to want to deal with you anymore. Number 8, sometimes you just don't fit in at a place. And I'd say most of the food service places I've worked at have been kind of like that. It's like a younger crowd. I don't really fit in. Dutch Brothers is hiring right down the road. I could probably still be on my foot like 3 or 4 hours, so I could certainly get something part-time there, but are they gonna fucking hire me? I'm 46 years old. I just don't see anyone, past 30 working at that place. There are just certain work environments you're not gonna fit into, and regardless of how desperate you are for the money, you're either gonna have to just live with that or move on, and it can be kind of a hard thing to live with, I'm not huge about having friends, coworkers that are friends either. I think that's kind of outside of work at least. It's just a lot easier to not be friends with the people that are subordinate to you. Not to be a dick to them, but they're an associate. They're an associate. This is my associate. Like, he's not a friend, I work with him. I have associates at work, mostly, and that can be one of those things that's like, oh, you never like come to the bar, with us, after work. Well, I haven't hung out at a bar since for 25 years. Okay, I get gout. I don't watch modern television, and I don't think you guys want to talk about Star Trek or the Twilight Zone. So probably halfway through this thing, I'm just going to be getting practically made fun of, and I'm going to want to leave. Okay? You guys are my associates. I'm not going to go out and fucking drink with you or anything like that. If we have dinner together, it's going to be, the lunch that they provide us at work on Thanksgiving or whatever, or if we're having a work meeting someplace, like we're doing a work thing in a social situation and I can't get out of it. Yeah, I guess I get that. Number 9. You're always almost going to have some type of managerial change these days. People just move through positions almost as quickly as they can because they want to start making more money. And the problem is their replacement often doesn't do things the same way, doesn't handle you the same way, may not even like you, Then you have issues switching departments. I've done this, I didn't say it was him. I was like, I've done this a year. I think I've kind of learned how to do the stocking thing, and I really want to move on to something else. Number 10 is just customers can just be really, really frustrating. Getting waited on isn't necessarily a guaranteed part of your store experience. I mean, think about what you're saying here. You think as an average person, you're going to go into a grocery store, and for whatever that person's making an hour, they've got to wait on you when they have a slew of other jobs. Now, cashiering is one of their jobs, then fine. But, don't get all pissy when the lines are huge long and people like you just won't go to the self-checkout. I mean, checking out yourself is faster. Not only is it much faster, but things can get bagged the way you need them to get bagged. There is a person there to assist you, okay? Grocery stores can't maintain their black line and have cashiers around. They also can't pull everybody from the store to check you people out. So customers just, they often feel extremely entitled. And I had 2 pallets of freight that I was working, and this customer comes up to me and he says, hey, your site says that there's this many, yada, 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 yada. The site's wrong all the time because the managers don't do their counts. So I basically tell the guy those things have been out of stock forever. There are none back there. I'm just going to be wasting both of our times. And then this asshole had the audacity to say, well, it sucks to have an associate here who won't do the work. And I'm like, dude, I've got these 2 pallets of freight to work, and you are wasting my time. I'm going to go back there, and there's not going to be anything back there. If there is, I'm likely not going to be able to get to it. They're working back there. They're putting stuff in the bins. We don't go to the back room and get stuff. And this is the other problem with coworkers. There's another problem with coworkers right there, is that you have to make sure everybody's doing everything the same way and by policy, and you cannot give certain customers things that you're not giving other customers, because sometimes another associate might have to deal with that situation, and I'm not going to give that fucker that.